Growing up for me was a really great time. My family was very supportive. I have a mom and a dad and a brother that's just about 5 years younger than me. And we grew up doing a lot of adventure things together and hanging out together, and family was an important part of our lives. And occasionally we would go to church and sometimes go to CCD classes or sometimes youth ministry, but it was something to me that was more of an historic event of Jesus's death and resurrection, and it was never something that I understood well enough. It was just something that I knew about. I continued my life with that notion that it was a historic event, and that was great and it was cool and I could learn about it, but I didn't really understand anything more. As I got into my middle school and high school years, dance became a huge part of my life, and dance became my identity. Dance became who I was, how I lived my life, how I dressed, how I talked, how I did everything. It just I became a performer inside and out. And it was joyful, it was fun. I had a lot of friends through dance and dance team and getting to know people and being recognized. That was what I placed my identity in. Because I put my identity into dance, I was disappointed a lot. I would want things to be perfect and I wanted to be in control. I wanted to just be able to control what was in my life and how things had happened. And initially that started because I made the dance team because I tried super, super hard, and I figured if I do anything in life and I just practice super, super hard, I can do anything I want. The whole, if you dream it, you can do it and you can be it. And I really believed that. But it led to major disappointment because I realized that that doesn't always happen. And the moment when I really realized that was in college. I had the privilege of being able to continue dancing in college at UW-Eau Claire, and I danced for 1 year on the team, and it was probably the hardest year I ever experienced. I was a freshman. I was away from my family and my friends. Had this new team that I had to get to know, and it was a mess. I didn't feel wanted, loved, joyful, all the things that I thought I could be in control of and gain myself and win at. I was just losing. My teammates did not make decisions that I ever wanted to make, and I got roped into that, and I was always a goody two-shoes in high school, and I never wanted to drink any of that, and because of the team and because of wanting to fit in, I drank too, and it just started to become a part of my weekends, and I slowly just realized that I was so empty and I didn't have control, and I couldn't figure it out myself, and I couldn't win myself. And I just slowly seeped into this point in my life that I knew there was something more than just me. I knew that I was living in a way that I didn't want to, but I kept doing it because that what was in front of me, that's what brought me some kind of joy. I got recognized, people knew who I was, and I got to wear a cool jacket that said I was on the dance team. My second year in college, I decided to try out for the team again, and I didn't make it, and life seemed over, done. Control was not in my hands, and I didn't know what to do. All that identity that I had built up into dance and being recognized and wearing pretty costumes, and it was gone. It was gone. I was so ashamed, especially after having been on the team for a year before and then not making it this time. I was crushed, but what I didn't know was that God had something more for me. After I came to the realization that this was a season that was over for me, dance was not going to be a part of my year in college, and I wanted to move forward and do something about that, but I had no idea where to start. And one of my fellow friends, who was a resident assistant, or what you would call a mom of the floor, came and talked to me and said she thought I would be a really good candidate to be another resident assistant. And at the time I was very perplexed, because though I wasn't on the dance team anymore, I was still drinking with my friends and partying, and all of this was under the age of 21. I thought, how in the world could I be a role model to women who are coming to college for the first time? How would I be able to help them? Something in me told me that I needed to apply. I needed to apply and give this a shot and see if this might be the next thing in my life. And I applied, and I ended up being a resident assistant, or an RA as they call them. And I walked into my junior year, second semester of college, an RA, suddenly having to change the life habits that I had. No longer underage drink. I had to set a good example and be a good role model for my residents. And I was determined, so I did. And through that experience, I met some awesome people who are also fellow resident assistants of mine that asked me, hey, what do you do on Wednesday nights? Would you like to come with us? We do this thing called Navigators. I thought, sure, I don't really know what it is. And they said, well, just come and you'll just see. It'll be something fun. And I went. And I walked in, and much like our youth group, people were worshiping and singing about Jesus, and the speaker gave a talk about how Jesus had affected their lives and how it changed their lives. And I thought, wow, this is a real thing. And after that first night of campus ministry, you could call it, I walked away questioning and asking and seeking, what is this? And I continued to go every week with my friends, and they would teach me and they would share scripture with me, and I started to put the pieces together that Jesus was not just an historic event that happened in the gospel. It was so much more. It actually meant something to all these people I was with, but also it meant something to me. a few months into this new season in my life, I could tell I was changing. The way that I acted was different. I really wanted to love on the students that I was watching over on my floor as a resident assistant. I wanted to love them and be there for them. Drinking, because it wasn't even in the picture anymore, I didn't want to go back to it. I enjoyed my new life, the new season. And in this new season, after going to campus ministry, I got invited on a spring break trip that I knew was going to be something special. Spring break that year, I found myself amongst hundreds of other kids getting into vanfuls really early in the morning to drive to Pensacola, Florida for a time of camping and fellowship and Bible study. And I was excited. I knew that there was more, and I wanted to seek more, and I wanted to learn more about Jesus and who he was and who he said I was. And every morning on that trip, we would wake up and we would meet with our Bible study team, and we would find some place on the beach to go and learn about Jesus. And what a better, beautiful place to learn about Jesus in. And I just remember just being all ears in those conversations and wanting to learn and to listen and to gain more. And later throughout the day, we would have time where we could just go off by ourselves. And I learned for the first time how to have a quiet time and how to pray. And it was really there that I was getting it. I was understanding who Jesus was, who he really was, and what that meant for me. Last day in Florida, I knew I hadn't fully given my life to Christ. I had learned about him all week. I had prayed. I had spent time with him. And I just remember feeling like I needed to get away for a little bit. So I walked down the beach and I just put my feet in the sand and I just looked out into the endless ocean, and just everything came flooding in that one moment. And Jesus said, like, I'm here for you. I've always been here for you. You no longer have to control your life. I will guide you and lead you to a life that you've always wanted and that you've always dreamed of. And I will teach you and show you I'm your creator and I love you. And I just remember looking out in this just amazing ocean thinking, oh my gosh, I had it wrong all along. I had it so wrong. And here, I don't need to win at life because Jesus has already won for me. And it was just this amazing feeling of relief and rest and peace. And in that moment, I just started dancing on the beach. It was one of the moments that I will never forget. Psalm 30:11 says, "You have turned my mourning into joyful dancing." And I read that verse a few weeks after I really gave my life to Christ on that beach in Florida. And it was almost like it was written for me. I felt like I had gone from a time of mourning, even when I didn't even really understand that I was in mourning, to a time of really joyful dancing, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I came back to college after that trip just on fire for the Lord. After college, I moved here to Madison, where I got plugged into a church and I got involved in a Bible study where I met my future husband, Nate. I just began growing and serving and loving no matter what job I did, as I've worked a few here in Madison, I just wanted to share Jesus and love on people and share with them the same message that people shared with me, that they don't need to be in control of their lives, but rather Jesus has already won that for them, and won that battle, and is in control, and is guiding them and leading them. And that's why I'm here today at Activate. I feel like God has led me to a place where I can love and serve on students and help them see that I'm not perfect, I'm not ever gonna be, and I don't want anyone to be perfect or to put on a face, but I want them to be who they are and share, and I want to love on them and make them feel loved and valued. I want them to see Jesus for who he really is, not just an historic creature or an event, but something that really happened and it affects our entire lives, because this is the creator of the world who made us and loves us so much. My name is Morgan Kolbeck, and I am second.